Yeah, that's the thing. He like rewatched the content, saw it all, edited it, and decided to still keep it in there. That's the... people are such idiots. There's no such thing as bad press. With the January transfer window upon us, there's no doubt that the checkbooks will be opened and millions upon millions of pounds will be taken out of one club's bank account and poured into another. On the face of it, transfers look quite simple, but managers aren't that stupid, and they know that despite the initial costs of paying for a transfer, it's the wages on top of that which see the players earn more that they could spend in a lifetime, the real struggle when it comes to transfer dealings. So with a huge rise in transfer fees, where Virgil van Dijk is somehow worth 75 million, so too the weekly wages rise as well. But are the players worth it? I'm going to have my say on a few subjects surrounding this wage controversy. Let's start by looking at the money spent on wages in the Premier League, and it's no surprise to see that Manchester United and Manchester City lead in this table. If you're a first team player at either of these clubs, you'd be on about 100k per week on average, which is 5 times more than the players at Huddersfield, where a first team spot would get you about 20 grand. These top wages make the Premier League the highest paying division in Europe. However, none of these teams come close to the likes of Barca, Real Madrid and PSG, who are the 3 teams that make it into the top 20 of sports teams in the world when it comes to weekly wages. Looking at the likes of Ronaldo, Neymar and Messi though, gives you a good reason why. So with an average of 50k a week, do we come to the conclusion that the United and City's players are 2 times as good as the average player in the Premier League? No, that's absolutely ridiculous. Because that would mean that Harry Kane, the Premier League's top goal scorer, is only a little bit better than Jesse Lingard, but not quite as good as Christian Benteke. Flawed indeed. However, using this logic, I'd like to pose one question to you. Earning £365,000 a week, Cristiano Ronaldo makes just a little over 3 times as what Harry Kane does. But would you rather have 3 Kanes in your team or 1 Cristiano Ronaldo? Let me know in the comments below, but it's clear to see how the money is shaping football these days. So let's say you're completely outraged either way about the amount of money spent on weekly wages. Either Marcus Rashford doesn't earn enough at 50k a week, or Romelu Lukaku earns too much at 250k. You have to consider their importance to the team. So what can we do? Well, let's take a look across the pond at some of the much talked about salary caps in American sport. Basically, each team is given a certain amount of money to spend on wages per year. Now that is a very basic explanation. However, we could be here for hours and hours talking about all the different regulations across different sports. For example, in American football they use expensive long-term contracts to push back the initial outlay, and basketball has more exceptions to the rules than an O.J. Simpson trial. However, it's actually the MLS which I think offers an interesting insight. In the MLS, each team has around $6 million to spend on wages each season. Now this seems fair given the popularity of the sport and the level of playing. Within this system, a team is allowed to have 3 designated players who are technically outside of the salary cap. A small contribution, around $300,000, is added against the salary cap, but the rest is up to whatever the owners would like to pay. This explains how the likes of David Beckham signed for LA Galaxy, and at one stage, New York City had Andrea Pirlo, Frank Lampard and David Villa on their books at the same time. Initially, this does seem like a good idea, but in reality, I don't think it would work. For example, the league is constantly treated like an ever-growing business, which it is, which means they reassess the budgets every year, and that different teams can't be bought out by huge oil-rich owners and start to dominate the league, like PSG. This is also why the draft system is in place, to give the lower teams the best chance of signing the best players. For example, if you were at LA Galaxy and David Beckham was to be brought in on 10 times your wage, considering his experience and how good he is, you wouldn't really mind that much. However, at Man United, if Zlatan Ibrahimovic was to return from injury and find that De Gea, Pogba and Lukaku, for example, were the 3 designated players, all hell would break loose when he'd be on a measly wage like the rest of the squad within a budget. So finally, are the players worth it? In my opinion, yes, because that's what they're paid. Obviously, from a world perspective, it's probably quite upsetting to see someone earn in a week what most people on the planet won't earn in a lifetime. However, you've got to remember they are a very small percentage of players who have worked hard enough to be at that level. and the money, the fame, the success is just a byproduct of the sport as a whole. You wouldn't go into a bank or a big business and shout at the millionaire CEO just for making more money than you, would you? No. And much like in any business, if the demand is there, you pay to buy it or you pay to keep it. So there's my opinion on the wages and some of the topics surrounding the controversy at the moment. Does Danny Rose at Spurs have a point saying players should be paid more, or should he shut up and just be happy with what he's got? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll read the best comments out on next Monday's episode of 1-2. That was a struggle. Nailed it.